Good evening, and thank you for joining us as the Windy City Empire presents Not Your Children's Bedtime Stories, an evening of laughter, tears, and bedtime stories you won't soon forget. I am Lord Ninja, Imperial Crown Prince to the 16th Empire. The Windy City Empire is part of the International Court System, a 501c3 nonprofit organization who raises money for other local nonprofit organizations. During our show, you will hear from a few friends about our RAIN charities and why they are so important to our communities. Your generosity will help us support the AIDS Foundation Chicago, Project Fierce, and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Without further delay, allow me to introduce our MCs for the evening, Countess Ruby Starling and Princess Royale Diamante, joining us from the Imperial Court of New York. Thank you for joining us. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy our show.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I'm so happy to be here. I'm Countess Ruby Starling from the Imperial Court of New York, and my co-hostess, the fabulous Princess Royale Diamante. Welcome, welcome. Thank you, Lord Ninja, for the lovely intro. You look very cozy next to that fireplace. I wish I was there. Unfortunately, all I have here is New York skyline. Well, sort of. But we're here to have fun, and we welcome everybody to enjoy the show and enjoy some very, very interesting stories. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you our first reader, Emperor 8 and 13 of the Imperial Windy City Court of the Prairie State Empire, Scott Turner.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Turner, Emperor 8 and 13 of the Imperial Windy City Court of the Prairie State Empire. I am here tonight to read to you for our special Not Your Children's Bedtime Stories. Kind of trying to channel Gru. You'll see if you get it. If not, well, you know, it's me. So, my book is All My Friends Are Dead. See the dinosaur on the front? That should say a lot to all of you. And here we go. All my friends are dead. See the dinosaur? All my friends are dead. All my friends are dead. Here's a dodo, like most of the people I know. But we won't talk about it that way. Most of my friends are dead, and no, that is not me. I have a much shorter beard. What? Oh, that does sound like me, actually. Now all my friends are dead. Sorry, Grandpa. All my friends are end tables. Poor tree. And I'm not talking about tree sequoia either. The table says, I was never friends with that guy. I know the feeling. Who writes this crap anyway? And the tree says, dang it. Oh, and by the way, here's my sidekick, Percy. All my friends are hoaxes, says the abominable snowman. I sort of resent that, says Nessie. All my friends are undead. Wow, that sounds like a lot of the drag queens I know. Spar, are you in this one? All my friends are bread. Queenie, this is all about you. Queenie's my favorite baker. I have 3,284 friends. Just never meet any of them face to face. Well, that sounds very much like COVID-19 if I've ever heard it. All my friends are Phil. Thanks, Doug. And look, they're social distancing. The only ship we need is a friendship. Huh, Phil? I think Phil's just been voted off the island. Yep, I was right. Phil's just been voted off the island. Friendship. Okay. Looks like Adam and I. All my friends are obsolete. For those of you youngins out there, that's a cassette tape. It's what we had before you had CDs and then downloaded all your music. Ask your mom and dad about 8-tracks. Oh yeah, slow jams. Some of us used to make our own mixtapes. Guilty. My only friend has gone missing. Sock has a face. He's very sad. Hey there, little fella. Will you be my friend? And the squirrel says, I'd rather not. Carlos told me you would get mono. Ooh, wow. This is my worst day. All my friends expired on Tuesday. Sounds like my sex life. All my friends have scurvy. Yar. Is today Talk Like a Pirate Day? I didn't think so. All my friends are terrifying. Spar, you should get this one. Unfortunately, there's no red balloon here. I've already made 2 children cry today. It's Spar the Clown. I'm gonna get in so much trouble for that, but that's okay. All my friends are so last season. Sounds like my wardrobe. All my friends are dummies. Wait, does that look like Adam to you? He's not saying words, so yep, it's Adam talking to me. Oh, yep, see? Looking at me, not saying a word, just getting the stink face. That's definitely not me and Adam. Let's scratch that. All my friends are puddles. Hello, snowman, melting the way you are. All my friends are Kentucky Fried. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I've been Kentucky Fried a few times myself. Not quite on a daily basis. All your friends are delicious. He's obviously been to Kentucky Fried. Please stop buying my friends if you're just going to slowly kill them. And this is why, boys and girls, I do not buy plants. Because my home is where plants come to die. So if you ever need to get me a gift, make it a plastic plant. All my friends are followers. Bah. Yep, see? Followers. Sounds like the oh, I better not get in the middle of that one. Where are we going? Make sure I didn't skip a page. None of my friends will speak to me. For those of you who are too young, that's a mime who acts without speaking. In fact, I know a few people who do that. All of my friends will be dead in 24 hours. That sounds like Diamond. There's a joke there. There is a joke there. You'll be dead in 24 hours. I think it's from one of the kidnapping movies. I can't remember what the hell it's called. Diamond can tell you. This job makes me feel so alive. Hello, Death. Howdy. Oh, somebody's been seen. Okay, now this is going to be a long one. Sometimes I feel alone. Sundays are long and hard, but when I look out into the world, I am struck by the impossible beauty of it all. Those billions of magnificent accidents that led us to where we are today, that led us to paper planes and nautilus shells and the tiny crooked smiles of children. When I think about all the small perfections of the world, I have faith that my time will come. I have faith that someday a warm light will flood over me and I will find peace. That would be the tree. again. Hi. Well, here comes peace. That would be the lumberjack. Rest in peace. And notice he's still not his friend. The end. I hope you all enjoyed my favorite book, All My Friends Are Dead. Of course, some of them are not really dead. They just act that way whenever I'm around. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope you enjoy all of the rest of our Not Your Children's Bedtime Stories.
Hey everybody, it's Princess Diamante. I am so excited to be here today with the Imperial Court of Chicago, as well as the ever fabulous, beautiful Ruby Starling. Thank you guys. So excited because we are not only here today having fun and telling some, I don't know, not your children's bedtime stories, but we are also raising money today. And we are raising money for AIDS Foundation Chicago, Project Fierce, as well as the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. Please make sure that you guys are getting out your checkbooks, your Venmos, your PayPals, etc., and make sure that you're donating because this is all about giving back today. With that said, I would like to introduce the nobility of the Rose Empress 61, the Imperial Sovereign Rose Court of Portland, Oregon, Genuine Boutte.
Good evening and welcome to Not Your Children's Nighttime Stories. My name is Genuine Surreal Butte. I am Rose Empress 61 of Portland, Oregon. Why don't you read with me tonight? As we read, will you help Jack off the horse? Here we go. Let's get started. Jack got himself onto a horse, high up into the air. To get him down onto the ground, we might need some stairs. I am Morse. Morse, of course. Would you help Jack off the horse? I do not like you, Morse, of course. If you were mine, we would divorce. I would not, could not, Morse, of course. I would not help Jack off the horse. Would you do it here or there? I would not do it here or there. I would not do it anywhere. If he got up there somehow, would you help Jack off a cow? All that I can say is, wow! I would not help Jack off a cow. Not here, not there, not then, not now. I would not help Jack off a cow. Oh. Perhaps if we were on a boat, would you help Jack off a goat? I would not help Jack off a goat. Not here, not there, not on a boat. This Jack of yours, he seemed quite ill. Get him off. I never will. If I find myself afloat with you and Jack aloft a goat, I will dive into the sea, and that's the last you'll see of me. Would you do it in a car? Would you do it in the dark? Not in a car, not in the dark, not here, not there, not where we are. Let me make myself quite clear, then I am getting out of here. I would not help Jack off the horse. I would not do it, Morse, of course. I would not help Jack off a cow. Not in the past, not in the now. I would not help Jack off a goat. This is the end. That's all she wrote. In the sea is where I'll be. This is farewell to you from me. You say you like it in the sea? In the sea, you say, to me. On this day I must agree, in the sea's the place to be. Let me make one final plea, then I swear I'll let you be. One more? Fine. Just make it quick. This time with you has made me sick. As we sail across the bay, could you find a way? I hope you might, I hope you may help Jack off a whale today. Of all the lame ideas you've had, I must admit, this one's not bad. I will do it. Morse, of course. This plan of yours, I do endorse. I would do it here or there. I would do it anywhere. I'll do it now and then again. I'll show you how, Morse, my friend. In a car or on a boat or in the dark. With the goat will go down in history. Morse, of course, you and me. For years to come, they'll tell the tale of how we helped jack off a whale. Reach around books, Ego Gwen, because the end is too final. And there you have it. That is how you help Jack off the horse. Have a wonderful night, and let's read the next bedtime story together.
So, as you guys all know, tonight is all about raising money for charity. So, I would like to have the greatest and distinct opportunity to introduce you to Empress 13 of the Imperial Sovereign Queen City Court of the Buckeye Empire. Truly scrumptious. She will be speaking to us about the AIDS Foundation Chicago, one of our beneficiaries tonight. Take it away.
Well, hi there. This is Truly Scrumptious, Empress 13 of Cincinnati, signing in to give you some information about a wonderful program in Chicago called AIDS Foundation Chicago. AFC brings together service providers and funders to develop systems that meet the needs of those living with HIV and AIDS, and to maximize the use of scarce resources. AFC manages more than 17 million in local, state, and federal funds for an array of AIDS-related services. By assisting government entities in planning, distributing, and monitoring service contracts, AFC helps develop provider expertise and promotes uniform and high-quality delivery across the region. Until there is a vaccine and a cure, comprehensive HIV prevention services remain the best weapon in the fight against HIV and AIDS. The AIDS Foundation of Chicago is committed to working with policymakers and service providers to increase funding for prevention services and programs that work. Since founding in 1985, with local visionaries including Dr. Ron Sable, Dr. Renslow Scherer, Judy Carter, and William Young, to 2018, where the AFC and the city and state departments of public health launched the draft plan for getting to zero Illinois, an ambitious project to end new HIV transmissions in the state by 2020. This organization has shown its determination and its will to make change in the world and in the Chicago community. It gives me great pleasure, and I appreciate the invitation by Lord Ninja to get the opportunity to speak to you today about such a worthy organization. So, donate, dig deep, dig often, and let's find a cure. I'll see you soon, Chicago.
So I see we have a new guest that joined us. Is she gonna MC with us, or do you want to introduce her?
This is Little Miss Starlet Rune. She is all jazzed out for this presentation with her little Santa dress. How cute is she? She's half asleep, but she's still enjoying it with mommy.
Well, she's half asleep because all of these amazing bedtime stories. Speaking about that, I would like to introduce our next reader, Lord to the 16th Empire of the Imperial Windy City, Court of the Prairie State Empire, Laura Leakis to read to us a very good story. I'm sure Starlet is gonna fall asleep in no time.
H.P. Lovecraft's The Call of Cthulhu, read in the style of Dr. Seuss. Part 1, The Horror in Clay. The most merciful thing in the world, I believe, is humanity's failure to fully conceive of the cosmical horrors we've yet to reveal, and which up until now I have tried to conceal. Back in late 26, when my great-uncle died, I uncovered the research he wanted to hide. Over time, he'd uncovered much more than he should. He'd have kept it all secret, if only he could. But Professor George Angel has met with his fate, and exactly what killed him has caused some debate. The physicians have claimed there's no reason to doubt that his lengthy walk home caused his heart to give out. The more sinister truth, I have heard people say, he was shoved by a sailor who stood in his way, and my poor Uncle George, he was really too old to survive such a bump on a hill in the cold. Shortly after his death on that hill by the sea, the professor's belongings were given to me. I was sorting through all of his research one day when I found a monstrosity made out of clay. It was carved by a sculptor named Wilcox one night, when more sensitive folk endured horrible sights. The young sculptor was puzzled by what he had made, by the script and the creature his carving displayed, so he sought out an expert who'd know what they meant, who'd explain his mad visions and where his mind went. It was fortune that brought him to Angel's front door. You see, Angel had seen such a creature before. The professor urged Wilcox to try and recall the things he had dreamed of, no matter how small. When the sculptor then coughed up the sounds that he'd heard, it confirmed something quite supernatural occurred. The professor requested a journal be kept. The sculptor could update each night that he slept, and the dreamer recorded the things he had seen for the whole month of March with his nightly routine. But on April the 2nd, his diary stopped, when into unconsciousness Wilcox had dropped. I believed it was probably some kind of hoax, that my uncle fell victim to Wilcox's jokes. For a time I was willing to let it all pass, until I read of Inspector Legrasse. Part 2, The Tale of Inspector Legrasse. When Legrasse met with experts who liked to explore, he had shown them a thing they had not seen before. He was looking for answers, but got none at all, until Webb raised his hand at the back of the hall. He had seen something like it a long time ago. It was worshipped in Greenland by strange Eskimo. He described how they danced and repeated their cries, which Legrasse recognized to the expert's surprise. He went on to reveal where his knowledge was gained. He'd encountered a cult, the inspector explained. They had told him the meaning of the words they'd been screaming in his house at Rilya, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming. In a New Orleans swamp less than 1 year before, he had broken that cult in the name of the law. When some people who lived near that swamp disappeared, the police had been called, and the worst had been feared. There were rumors of crimes being kept out of sight in the heart of the swamp in the midst of the night. So Legrasse had arranged for a squad of brave men to accompany him to the maniac's den. The policemen took care to avoid certain trails, as the locals had told them some terrible tales. They were warned of a lake and its polypus thing, to which cultists at midnight would crazily sing. When Legrasse and his men had uncovered the place, they discovered the worst of the whole human race. The policemen had paused to recover their breath. All the kidnapping victims had been put to death. When the cultists locked up by the end of the day, the police had to know why they'd acted that way. That a cultist named Castro had spoken with glee when describing a city lost under the sea. He believed that great old ones who lie underground will remain there until their lost city is found. Great Cthulhu once led them across outer space when they flew here to Earth from some faraway place. They have slept for millennia, Castro had said, but their dreaming confirms that they're really not dead. When that city named Rilya comes up from the deep, then Cthulhu will stir and give up his great sleep. You'll find mention of this, if you dare take a look, inside Abdul Alzared's mysterious book. I will quote here verbatim for those who don't know what that mad Arab wrote such a long time ago. There's nothing that's dead which can eternal lie, because give it strange aeons, and death may yet die. So Cthulhu's cults study the skies every night, knowing real yell will rise when the stars are just right. All the experts on Angel had taken an oath not to speak of that cult, nor encourage its growth. When the mad implications of what they had heard, they would research in secret and not say a word. It was hard to believe all the things I'd read. I still doubted a lot of what Wilcox had said. I had thought that perhaps the young sculptor had heard of that dark southern swamp and the crime that occurred. For my own peace of mind, I just had to be sure that it wasn't a prank and it was something more. When I had spoken to Wilcox, he'd made it quite clear that the call of Cthulhu was something to fear. Then I went to see Castro, but Castro was dead, so I stopped in to see the inspector instead. When I spoke to Legrasse, I was lucky to find that he still had the cult in the back of his mind. I had started to think it would make my career if I published this stuff for the whole world to hear. I believed I could research and then write a book, but with no further leads, there was nowhere to look. So I packed up my notes and put them aside. It was only much later a clue was supplied. Part 3, The Madness from the Sea. I was studying rocks from all over the world when a sheet of old newsprint from Sydney unfurled. On that faded old page, a forgotten report told the tale of a schooner whose trip was cut short. Of 11 crew members, 10 failed to return, and the loss of the Emma had caused some concern. After meeting a yacht which had ordered them back, it appears that the Emma fell under attack. When the Emma was sunk, there was nothing to do but to seize the Alert and abandon her crew. 2 weeks later in Sydney, a sailor arrived, but no other crewmen from the Emma survived. The report said Johansen returned from the sea with an idol in hand, quite mysteriously. On the fate of his crew, he'd refused to say more. When they died in an island they'd stopped to explore. The events had occurred in the very same week that young Wilcox's nightmares had been at their peak. So I tracked down Johansen to hear what he'd say through New Zealand, at Sydney, and lastly, Norway. When Mrs. Johansen had come to his door, she explained that he died just a few months before. He had never revealed what had happened at sea, so she took out his logbook and gave it to me. He had written in English to help spare his wife from the terrible knowledge which ruined his life. In that book he described the strange place he had seen, and I knew it was Rilya, the sailor had been. When the crew went ashore, they discovered a stair, so they climbed to the top just to see what was there. Then Johansen described how a door opened wide, and they heard something stir in the darkness inside. He described how they froze, and how nobody spoke. So intense was their fear when Cthulhu awoke. When Johansen and Bryden returned to the sea, they had jumped in their boat in an effort to flee. As Johansen prepared to escape in the yacht, he discovered the boiler was not very hot. When the sailors then learned that Cthulhu could swim, poor old Bryden went mad, and the future looked grim. The Alert started moving, but not very fast, and the creature drew closer each moment that passed. There was nothing to do but to steer with the wheel till Cthulhu's great head was lined up with the keel. When the yacht pierced Cthulhu between his great eyes, the Alert had survived, to Johansen's surprise. At the end of the logbook, I fearfully read that the monster was sighted repairing his head. By the time they were rescued, poor Bryden had died, and Johansen was sitting with eyes open wide. Then the rescue ship Vigilant sailed past the spot where the city once was, but by then it was not. I assume that Cthulhu resumed his great sleep at the heart of his city, way down in the deep. I discovered the sender of Wilcox's dreams, and I'm certain there's more to the cult than it seems. But the knowledge is more than just one man can take, and in knowing, I fear that my mind will soon break. And I've told you these things so that you'll understand why I'm sealing them up, just as Angel had planned. Just remember the cultists are out there somewhere, keeping track of the secrets they don't want to share. Found among the papers of the late Francis Wayland Thurston of Boston.
So now we have another little visitor. This is Miss Breezy Sky. Miss Breezy, say hello to everybody. Say hi. And just like her sister, she doesn't yet have a court name, but I am sure that she soon will. And she too is in her cute little matching Santa dress. She isn't quite as thrilled. She does the quiet hide thing. But you know what? That's just how she goes to sleep. And she's getting ready for the next bedtime story. It is by Davida DeVille Demain. It's Auntie to all, Empress 6 and 13 of the Imperial Windy City Court of the Prairie State Empire. And she'll be reading us tonight. Peter pitched a tent. I kind of think there's a theme to my stories. I don't know why. Ruby, do you?
I'm afraid to think about it.
Oh, hello there. I didn't see you. I'm just about ready to lay down in bed, and I thought I would read one of my favorite stories. But since you're here, I think I would read it to you, if you don't mind. It's one of my favorite. It's called Peter Pitched a Tent. Oh, I love it when Peter pitches a tent. So let's get started. Peter dreams of camping with mermaids by the sea. Sometimes one, sometimes two. But last night, he dreamed of 3. When Grandma came to wake him up, back out the door she went. At some point in the night, it seems that Peter pitched a tent. Peter is excitable. He loves the great outdoors. He built a campsite in the night, right on his bedroom floor. He's no good at chopping wood. He's terrible at fishing. The skills that make a camper good, Peter's mostly missing. He has more pimples on his face than he has camping sense. But Peter is a total ace when it comes to pitching tents. He took down the tent that he had pitched and headed off to school. Along the way, he had an itch to stop off at the pool. Peter timed it perfectly. Such a stroke of luck. The senior female diving team was practicing their tucks. Peter pitched a tent with ease, much larger than before. This show of swimming expertise could not be ignored. Peter's friends, Matt and Zach, were waiting at the school. Both of them sat back and laughed when he told them about the pool. Peter likes the science teacher. In her class, he never is bored. She was showing off some creatures when it hopped down to the floor. She turned her back to pick it up and bent down on one knee. In 3 seconds, flat, his tent was up, a towering teepee. After school, Matt and Peter came to hang out with Zach. Zach's front yard was getting lame, so they headed toward the back. Right there in their swimming wear, in front of everyone, Zach's mom and sister were laying in the sun. Zach announced, "It's time to go," but when he turned around, Matt sat down to watch the show as the circus came to town. Peter started twitching. He was turning red. The circus all were glitching deep inside his head. He sputtered and wheezed. His eyes were rolling back. When finally he breathed, everyone stepped back. Zach's sister still is not convinced that he is just 13. Peter pitched the biggest tent the world has ever seen. Spank the monkey's on his way to visit Petertown. He's going to need a helping hand to take down that big tent. Wow, what a wonderful story. We've learned that Peter definitely knows how to pitch a tent. Good night, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed my favorite story.
Now that we all got our cocktails, I think by now everybody should have cocktails. I would like to
Why
remind
don't you?
Well, there's a whole story for that, but not the right evening. Anyway, I would like to remind everybody that as you enjoy our amazing storytellers and the fantastic story they tell, please don't forget to click the donation button somewhere on the bottom. This evening is all about giving back to the community and giving back to our charities. So don't forget to click that link and make the donation. Every dollar counts.
So while we were listening to that fabulous bedtime story, something was going on behind the scenes. We had a secret donor come in, and they've donated $200 that they're looking for a match. So if we get up to $200, that $200 goes into the pot. So we're going to tell you that it's from Breezy, Starlet, and Lilu, because isn't it more fun if the dogs donate than a secret donor? But guess what, guys? How great would it be to give our charities $400? Can you guys do what you can in order to give back at this time? So click that button at the bottom, do your PayPals, your Venmos, your Snaps, whatever it is that you can do to give this court and give these 3 incredible beneficiaries some extra money. Let's get that match, you guys. You guys, I am so excited to next introduce someone who is very near and dear to my heart and one of my very close friends. She is just an amazing person with a heart of gold. It's Empress 26 of the Imperial Court of the Waterfall Empire, Hamilton, Niagara, and the Tri-Cities. It is the ever fabulous and beautiful Miss Drew.
Spank the monkey lends a hand. If you find yourself alone with much to think about, call Spank the monkey. He'll come by and help you work things out. Just the other day, while walking on the farm, Spank the monkey stopped to look in Farmer Johnson's barn. The air in there was warm. It smelled of salt and sweat and lotion. Way back in the corner was a constant steady motion. The farmer's arm was moving fast. His hands, they looked so worn. Spank the monkey stepped right up and helped him shook his corn. Spank likes to visit Grandpa, who loves his magazines. He has the first one and the last, and all the in-betweens. He flips right through the articles until his fingers blister. What he really likes to do is look at all the pictures. When Grandpa gets excited and messes up an issue, Spank is there to save the day with a box of tissues. Vinny has a job making sauce for pizza pies. As he cooks, he likes to watch the waitress go by. Vinny grabs his hard salami and he hides it from the boss. Then he goes into the pantry to make some secret sauce. Vinny makes a lot of sauce. He whips it up by hand. Spank has seen the waitress. He can understand. Spank the monkey takes his car to the quick lube service station. They let him fill his jar up there when he's out of lubrication. From underneath the car on jacks came some grunting and a moan. That dirty old mechanic Max was down there all alone. Max's hands were greasy, his eyes were squinted shut. Spank was there to lube his tool and help him bust that nut. You may have heard it said that Spank only helps the guys. Please don't cloud your head with all those silly lies. Spank the monkey actually likes girls more than boys. Every girl that he knows has a nightstand full of toys. Sally plays the flute all day in the marching band. She knows that when the day is done, Spank will lend a hand. When Sally goes to bed at night, her face is all aglow, 'cause Spank the monkey's gonna have a finger puppet show. As the satin curtain drops, she thinks, I'm a lucky girl. Spank opens with her favorite scene, polishing the pearls. Sally dims the lights and makes sure the door is locked. Then Spank the monkey oils her flute and puts it in her box.
Oh my God, Miss Drew, you are amazing. Thank you so much for being with us tonight and reading us that wonderful story. So as you all remember, this night is all about our charities. And I would like to introduce Lady to the 16th Empire of the Imperial Windy City, Court of the Prairie State Empire, Anna Long, to introduce us to our second beneficiary of the night, Project Fierce.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anna Marie Long, and I'm a member of the Windy City Empire's Board of Directors. I hope you're enjoying this evening's program, Not Your Children's Bedtime Stories, read to you by members of the Imperial Court system from across the country. However, I'd like to take a moment out from the stories just to talk to you about Project Fierce Chicago. Project Fierce Chicago seeks to create affirming transitional housing for LGBTQIA+ youth that is responsive to the needs of young people. By mobilizing communities, they provide pathways to independence. However, Project Fierce needs supporters. They need supporters that understand that for youth to achieve their goals, stable housing is the critical first step. And Project Fierce has dedicated countless hours, ideas, and dollars creating a community-based solution. Project Fierce believes in the power of the collective action and community accountability. Project Fierce believes when youth thrive, communities thrive. Thank you for taking a moment to listen and learn about Project Fierce, and also for joining us for Not Your Children's Bedtime Stories. Have a great evening.
Anna, thank you so much for telling us a little bit more about Project Fierce. As you guys heard, such an amazing organization. So you guys get your clickers, get your wallets, and let's give back, and let's at minimum reach the match so we can get to $400. But wouldn't it be great to get to 1,000, which, by the way, is my goal for tonight, because I would love to see us raise as much money as we can at a minimum for these three incredible charities. Next up in this incredible lineup of storytelling, and I'm just going to tell you up front, don't be surprised when the story has to do with, oh, I don't know, the theme that seems to be what I present tonight. So I am going to introduce you to Duchess to reign 39 of the Imperial Court of Kentucky, Benita Bloom.
My name is Benita. We're going to be reading a very special book today. This book is called Nobody Likes a Cock Block. It is by R. Swanson, and it was illustrated by Jess Jansen. So, the stars are out. It's dark outside. I can see that there's sleep inside of your eyes. See the little bear? He's going to bed. Stay warm in your bed. On our door, do not knock, because nobody likes a cock block. I think the mommy and daddy bear are wrestling. That's what it looks like they're doing. Daddy worked all day long. He's tired and lonely. There's a small chance that your mother might blow me. Those bunnies look very happy. I mean, he even brought her flowers. That is a very nice thing for Daddy to do. If you cry, no one's coming. This may come as a shock, but nobody likes a cock block. Again, Mommy and Daddy are wrestling. They got a cool little book down there too that's called Bunny Sutra. If you ever read that one, it's probably something very interesting. So I love Mommy so much. She is my favorite cutie. And tonight, I would like a piece of that booty. That's sweet. Look, he even cooked dinner. Don't ask for milk or help with your socks because nobody likes a cock block. And look, Mommy and Daddy are playing leapfrog. How fun is that? My favorite animal, a squirrel. The train's leaving the station. It's about to go down. My ticket is stamped for a trip to Pound Town. Have you ever been to Pound Town? They sell the best cookies there. Your job is to sleep like the heaviest rock. Darling, nobody likes a cock block. Look, Mommy and Daddy are looking kind of shocked. Like, they're like, oh no. Dinner was yummy. For dessert, you had fruit. So don't say you're hungry when we're knocking boots. That's silly, because these snakes don't wear boots. Your antics are like a knife to my jock, and nobody likes a cock block. They've got a nice little book down here too, but I can't see what the title of it is, but it looks like it's a fun book too. It's not cool to wait for us to get busy, to cry for a hug or go into a tizzy. Oh, the bats look like they're having fun. And it looks like Daddy lost his pants. If our door is closed, away you must walk, because nobody likes a cock block. Curl up in your blanket, hug Teddy so tight. It's now time for Daddy to turn off the light. The cute little owls are going to bed. He's got a little bear. Would you look at that time? It's Poontang o'clock. And nobody likes a cock block. That is a very big word. Poontang. Okay, one last kiss, one very fast hug. You're tucked in just right, like a bug in a rug. Hey, look, he's going to bed. He's being a good boy. We love you so much, but remember this talk, that nobody likes a cock block. Look, this Mommy and Daddy got smart. They hung up a sign that says, sorry, we are closed. And they even use proper grammar. It's very difficult, you know. The end. Well, that was a very interesting book. So let's all remember, please, nobody likes a cock block.
And we're back. You gotta put that cocktail down, Diamante. You guys are here with Ruby Starling and Diamante from the Imperial Court of New York. And we're happy that you're joining us tonight. Thank you so much. And now that we've established that nobody likes a cock blocker, I would like to introduce the amazing, the wonderful, the beautiful, the reason that we are all here tonight, the Imperial Crown Prince to the 16th Empire of the Imperial Windy City, Court of the Prairie State Empire, Lord Ninja.
Brenda's Beaver Needs a Barber. Written by Bimisi Tayamita and illustrated by Sumguyen, Bangladesh. Disclaimer. This is a work of fiction. Names, characters, and incidents are products of the author's imagination and are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual events or persons, living or dead, is entirely coincidental. However, claims of encounters with Brenda's beaver are quite common. Brenda has a beaver, and she's ready to confess. As soft and sweet as it may be, her beaver is a mess. Brenda's beaver is big. Brenda's beaver is hairy. Every guy who's seen it says that Brenda's beaver is scary. Brenda took her beaver for a swim down at the lake. By the looks that she received, she figured that was a mistake. She stuffed that furry mound into a swimming suit. It stuck out all around. It was anything but cute. Someone who saw it laughed. Others were just stunned. Brenda's beaver was hanging out, soaking up the sun. Her friends could not believe her. They said, "We need to talk." They covered up her beaver and they took her for a walk. "Brenda, dear, listen here. We want to help you out. Your beaver needs a makeover. It really needs it now." "I hope we don't seem pushy," said her biker friend named Kim. "Your beaver is too bushy. We just think he needs a trim." Savannah pulled her beaver back to show off what she'd done. Hers has a nice long landing patch. It looks like it'd be fun. Chrissy's beaver is quite rare. It could be worth $1 million. Hers is bare. It has no hair. Her beaver is Brazilian. Catherine let her beaver loose. She said, "There's nothing to it. Grab some clippers and a can of mousse. We'll show you how to do it." Kim produced some scissors, and Chrissy had some wax. Now all that Brenda had to do was sit back and relax. As they came towards her beaver, they said, "Now don't be scared. We're going to see what's underneath that frumpy pile of hair." It ended in just minutes. They didn't leave her much. When Brenda's friends were finished, she and her beaver blushed. Her beaver was so tiny, they could not believe their eyes. It was smooth and it was shiny. It was hard to recognize. Now Brenda is so proud, it seems like every time we see her, she's in the center of a crowd, just showing off her beaver. The end.
Thank you so much, Lord Ninja, and thank you for having us tonight. It's a truly honor to be part of this amazing evening, and I appreciate you having us as MCs. I know my beautiful co-host is right there, is feeling exactly the same. So right now, I would like to introduce our next reader, Empress 38 of the Imperial Court of Kentucky, Uma Jules.
Hello, darlings. My name is Uma Jules, and I'm going to read a story to you today. We're going to read a fairy tale written by Bo List. All right. It's a fairy tale written by a fairy for fairies and read by a fairy. Are we ready? Once upon a time, there was a king and a queen, and their son, the prince. As the prince grew into adulthood, he didn't seem as interested in finding a princess and future queen like the princes of other kingdoms. This worried the king and queen, as they had badly wanted to make sure that when the prince became king, he would have heirs to pass the kingdom. And so a great ball was held, and princesses from across the land assembled to meet the prince, dance with him, and each hoped that she would be the one chosen. But while he was very polite and very interested in getting to know each of his potential wives, and was a very, very good dancer, he didn't find quite what he was looking for. He didn't know exactly what that was, but he knew that it was not to be found in any of the lovely women who attended the ball. And so another ball was held, because this was the great matchmaking tool of this particular kingdom, and of most kingdoms. But this second ball yielded no match, and so another was held, then another, and then another, to no avail. One day, the king was feeling old, and with that age came impatience. He summoned the prince to the throne room, and there he instructed that the prince would go on a great journey. If the right wife hadn't yet traveled to the kingdom to meet the prince must journey to find her. "Come back to me within 1 year," the king commanded, "and bring back a bride." And so the prince mounted his horse and set out past the reaches of his kingdom. Weeks went by, months came and went, and soon the year was almost up, and the king and queen eagerly awaited the prince's return. One day, a message made its way to the queen through one of her spies. Alarmed, she raced to the king to tell him what she had learned, and yet it was difficult to find the words. The king was sure to be very angry by the contents of this message, for nothing like it had ever happened in this kingdom or in any other kingdom they had known about. "Dear husband," the queen said, her voice a tremble, "the prince has been located." "Grand!" bellowed the king. "But is he safe?" "Yes," replied the queen. "And has he found love on his journey?" the king asked. "Yes," replied the queen. "It would seem so." "Excellent," bellowed the king. "And what is this princess's name?" he asked. Stammered the queen. "Yes, yes," said the king. "Speak up." The prince's newfound love is named." "Yes, yes, speak up, woman." The queen gathered her wits. "The prince's newfound love is named Carl." "Carl?" the king asked. "Carl is a most unusual name for a princess." "Yes," replied the queen, "because Carl isn't a princess at all, rather a prince." The king heard this and didn't speak again for a few moments. This news was not news to him. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he always thought that this could be a possibility, that the prince wouldn't be like most of the other boys. There had been signs, clues, yet the king had many plans for the kingdom and the prince, and this development was not one of them. "I believe that our son may have found love somewhere besides the arms of a princess," the queen said to the king. The king rose from the throne and marched a hasty exit to the door of the throne room. "We'll see about that," roared the king. But before he could leave, the queen gathered an uncustomary strength about her and rose from her throne and spoke out in a voice so clear and so powerful that it stopped the king in his tracks. "Be careful," she commanded. "Don't say anything you can't take back." The king looked at his queen with wide eyes. She had never spoken to him in such a commanding tone. He nodded his promise to her and walked out. The king crossed the courtyard in front of the castle, past the courtiers and merchants, past the guards practicing their maneuvers, and into the door of a turret on the outer wall. He climbed the 179 spiral steps to the top of the turret's tower, the laboratory of his trusty wizard. In angry, impatient words, he described to the wizard what had occurred. "Ah, yes," sighed the wizard. "I had always suspected." This incensed the king even more. "Wizard," he said, "I don't know where my son is, but I want you to cast a spell and send me to him this moment. Once there, I will snatch him back by his hair if I must, and drag him back home." "You object to his romance with Prince Carl, I trust?" asked the wizard. "Of course I do. Now do as I bid you." The wizard had just the thing. A potion that would instantly transport the king to wherever his son was, and allow him to be invisible in case he wanted to spy. The king drank the potion thirstily. The wizard asked the king, "What happens if you get there and you decide that your son has made the correct choice?" The king seethed in anger. "I will bet my life that I am right and he is wrong." The king had spoken hastily, because whenever you make a bet or a wager in the presence of a wizard, especially in the middle of a spell being cast, it must be upheld by the great spirits. The king had actually bet his life. The king noted this as soon as he had said it, but didn't give it another thought. So certain was he in his conviction. Within the blink of an eye, the king was transported to the side of a pond on a faraway farm. He stood a few yards away from his son, the prince, sitting under a tree with this Prince Carl he had heard about. He almost raced to them immediately, ready to reveal himself and take the prince away. Lord only knows what he would have done to Carl, but he was stopped by the sight of them, in a configuration that was at once alien and familiar to him. The pair sat against a tree, with the prince's head leaned over on Carl's shoulder. They held hands. The king was reminded of this image, which was exactly as the queen had leaned her head upon his shoulder when they were young and had the time to sit under trees by ponds. They laughed, they talked, they laughed some more. The king, so ready a few moments ago to strike or worse, found himself smiling along to some of the charming stories the two told each other. At one moment, they even shared a brief kiss. The king was surprised by how very expected, how usual this seemed. He had never seen two men kiss before, but this affection, this obvious love, seemed perfectly natural at this moment. Then the mood grew darker. "Carl," said the prince, "I must return home tomorrow. I am expected back with a bride. I have failed." Carl ran his fingers through the prince's hair. "You haven't failed, my prince, because you have loved me." "Yes," said the prince, "but I have failed my parents, my kingdom. I wish I could marry you. I love you so dearly, but I cannot." They kissed with tears in their eyes their goodbye. The king didn't realize it, but he was crying too. A lone, shimmering tear rolled down his cheek, and thus the wizard was summoned. "Oh, wizard," sighed the king, "I bet my life against my son's true happiness, and I was wrong. This is what love looks like. I had a vision for his future, for the future of my kingdom. But the true vision of the future belongs to our children, and not to me. I forfeit my life due to my hasty heart and angry words." The wizard smiled. "Your Majesty," he said, "there is but one thing more powerful in this world than my magic. It is stronger than pride, than anger, than hate. It is love, the most powerful force on earth. You spoke earlier from pride. These new words of love please the great spirits more than any frivolous debt." And suddenly, the king was whisked back to his throne room, safe and sound, and next to the worried, hopeful queen. The king sobbed, not from guilt or fear, but from a very different kind of pride than he had known before. He was proud of his son. A week later, after many, many miles, the prince rode through the kingdom gates on his horse. He dismounted and walked through the castle, passing portrait after portrait of dead ancestors, all of whom had married and bore children, one after the other as expected. They led to the throne room and his parents, who had assembled the entire court, all the lords and ladies. He stood before them all, nervous. The king rose. "My son," he said, "a year ago you were sent from this castle to find a fitting marriage partner. Have you done so?" The prince was terrified, but found the courage to say, "Yes, father." The king smiled. "Good then, who is it?" After several moments of deadly silence, the prince told his story, his travels, the dangers, the mysterious lands he visited, and about Carl, the sweet, beautiful prince of a faraway land. The prince finished his story, and the room stood in silence. The king's son continued, "I imagine that there are consequences for my actions, and I am prepared to accept them." "Indeed," replied the king. "Adjoining this great hall is the courtroom, where kings have been crowned and criminals tried and laws decreed. We will find your justice there." He motioned his hand toward the great door that led to the courtroom. When it opened, the prince was amazed. Pews had been assembled, and there were flowers everywhere. Row after row of smiling people were waiting for him. An aisle ran down the middle of the long room, leading to a minister, and standing next to him, Carl, dressed in his dashing best and surrounded by his friends and family, all smiling, all happy. You see, once the king had been whisked by his spell back to his own kingdom, he had sent for Carl and his family to be brought by the fastest horses for a ceremony that would honor the great love between Carl and his son, and which would unite the two kingdoms. What the prince had feared most, the disapproval of his parents, was replaced by what he wanted most, to spend the rest of his life with his best friend. And he did. And they lived happily, gaily even, ever after. So wasn't that a nice fairy tale? My name again is Miss Uma Jules, and I thank you for joining me for a fairy tale by Bo List.
Hey, everybody. I know that everyone tonight is so excited because we're raising money, we're giving back, and we're having fun. It might be a little bit naughty, might be a little bit inappropriate. That might be the Imperial Court in terms of how we enjoy having some fun. So we hope you guys are enjoying the entertainment alongside of us, because I know I am, and I definitely have learned a little bit tonight, and I hope you have too. We all know tonight is about giving back, making a difference, and raising money. Of course, with these incredible stories, there's going to be a little bit naughty, a lot nice, probably more naughty, and always fun. But again, we're here to raise money and we're here to make a difference for these three incredible charities. I have the luxury tonight to be able to introduce someone who has become so important to me, a true part of my family, who accepted me from day one, the moment that I met him. He's going to be sharing with you more information about a charity that is really close to him because of how it's impacted he and his life. He'll be speaking to us on the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. And I'd love the opportunity to be able to introduce you to my friend, my family, Emperor Emirates, and 7 of the Imperial Court of Washington, D.C., Trace Couture Kennedy Smith. I love you.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're enjoying tonight's presentation of Not Your Children's Bedtime Stories. I know we are. At this point in the show, the host would usually be asking who's having fun, who's enjoying themselves. Well, if you're enjoying yourself and having fun, let everyone know. Hit those like buttons, those hearts, whatever you need, whatever you can. Give a comment, give a post. Lord Ninja asked me to introduce one of the charities for this evening, a charity that's pretty near and dear to my heart, considering I lost my little brother to suicide almost 20 years ago, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. An organization that is there to help you through a hard time. Did you know that suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States? And that in 2018, there were almost 50,000 suicides and 1.4 million attempts. If you are in a moment of crisis, make sure that you reach out. You can text TALK to 741-741, or you can call 1-800-273-8255. Now, back to the show.
Thank you so much, Emperor Trace, for sharing this information with us. I'm sure everybody agrees that this is a noble cause. And with that said, I'm going to remind you to push that donation button and spare some change for our charities tonight. Maybe we can raise some money that they need, especially during the pandemic. Everybody needs a little loving. I would like to introduce our next reader. She's Empress to the 16th Empire of the Imperial Windy City Court of the Prairie State Empire, Spar Kelly.
Hi! I am so excited to be reading the next story for you guys tonight. So, continuing on with our fun themes that we're having, our next book is Mary Has a Little Pussy. Girl, I'm telling you now, she a hoe. And her mama a hoe. So let's continue. We all have that friend. Mary has a little pink pussy. She loves her pussy so much that she strokes it every night. Same girl. Sometimes twice a night, I'm sure. Mary likes to show her pussy to all of her friends. I told you she's a hoe. She invites her friends to stroke her pussy as well. Girl, that's how you get an infection. There is no punctuation in here, and there has already been typos. You about to meet Tommy. One of Mary's friends, Tommy, has a big cock. Look at that. That's the biggest rooster I've ever seen. The big cock couldn't help but behave excitedly when it saw the pussy, and it started flapping furiously. Another of Mary's friends, Jane, she also has a pussy. However, her pussy was dirty because many people played with it. But wouldn't Mary's pussy be dirty too? She shares it with all of her friends. They said it in the second page. I feel sorry for Jane. She's just really dirty. One day, Mary took her pussy outside to play with her friend, Dixon. Dixon loves to play with Mary's pussy. He enjoys playing with it so much that he even licks Mary's pussy until it becomes all wet. If you got on your hands and knees and started licking my cat, no, we'd still be friends. Suddenly, it started raining, and Mary invited Dixon to take shelter at her house. "Sure, I'll come inside," exclaimed Dixon. We're not even going subtle at this point. Like, it's not even like kind of dirty. This is very, very direct. Mary's mom, we're British. It makes so much more sense now. Mary's mom also has a pussy. And of course, Dixon was very thrilled and wants to play with it. Told you Mary's mom is a hoe too. Done told you. Are you sure you can handle my pussy? Said Mary's mom, with a worried look on her face. Of course, she barely looks worried. She looks ready to take. Not to worry. I have done this many times before, said Dixon. Of course he has. He licks the daughter's pussy too. Dixon was amused by Mary's mum pussy. He had so much fun until he was so exhausted and had a hard time standing. I know, when you just go at it so long, you just want to fall over. And then it's bedtime. The rain has stopped and it's getting late. I better get going. I'll be back again for both of your pussies. His hand still in his pocket, all suave-like. Excited to come back. Oh, that is the end. Well, everybody, that is... Yeah, they could have filled a little bit... Okay. Not your children's bedtime stories, everybody. Barely much of a bedtime story at all. This is Mary Has a Little Pussy. My name is Spark Kelly. Thank you all so very much for donating tonight. It really all does go towards some really great causes out there. Love you guys. Mwah.
Wow, Spark Kelly, that is one busy pussy. Should we be concerned? Maybe. Maybe not. So next, we get to hear even more stories because we need a little bit more naughty in our lives. I mean, I know I do. I hope you guys do too. So I'm going to now introduce you to Duchess 39 of the Imperial Court of Nebraska, Harleen Stewart Sweets.
All right, boys and girls. It's time for a story. Brucey and I are all tucked in, and we're going to read a book. It's called I Need a New Butt. Let's find out what happened, shall we? I need a new butt. Mine's got a crack. I can see in the mirror a crack at the back. Did I do it on the slide or on the banister inside? Or when I jumped off my BMX? Or with the fart that happened next? Of course, the fart. That's what blew my butt apart. Split the thing clean in two. Now I wonder what to do. I need a new one. A green one or a blue one. A fat one or a thin one. A wood one or a tin one. Why not an arty farty butt? One not to be forgotten, with watercolors on top and a mural on the bottom. Or maybe a yellow spotted, purple dotted, a butt with color, a butt with flair. A butt as bright as I dare to wear. A butt as bright as Dad's underwear. Or maybe an alien's butt, made from a metal like titanium. Fireproof, bulletproof, bomb-proof. That's not very nice, Bruce. Bomb-proof? I'd like a butt that's safety rated, the right butt, a knight's butt, a butt that's armor-plated. What about a bumper butt made of chrome? Why not, I say, from a 1960s sport coupe, one made in the USA. With accessories to complement, like strips of silver smoothly bent, a set of lights left and right for backing round in the night. With a bumper butt, I won't be scared, because bumper cracks can be repaired. But a bumper butt is huge. Bumper butt weighs a ton. I've changed my mind. I want a lighter one. A rocket butt, all fire and thrust. A robo butt. Now that butt's a must. No, I think it's all too late. This cracked butt is my fate. I'm here on my own in this cracked butt zone. No one to care, no one to share. Wait, what's that I hear? This is outrageous. Are all butt cracks contagious? Dad, your butt crack is showing. And Dad, there's no way of knowing just how far it is going. Isn't that nice, Bruce Bear? You learn to keep your butt.
For our last and very special story of the night, I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with sleeping. I would like to introduce to you Emperor 4 and 2 of the Sovereign Imperial Court of Indiana, Jeff Wingscott Archer DeVille Snap Clements.
The cats nestle close to their kittens. The lambs have lain down with the sheep. You're cozy and warm in your bed, my dear. Please, go the fuck to sleep. The windows are dark in the town, child. The whales huddle down in the deep. I'll read you one very last book if you swear you'll go the fuck to sleep. The eagles who soar through the sky are at rest, and the creatures who crawl, run, and creep. I know you're not thirsty. That's bullshit. Stop lying. Lie the fuck down, my darling, and sleep. The wind whispers soft through the grass. The field mice, they make not a peep. It's been 38 minutes already. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Go to sleep already. All the kids from daycare are in dreamland. The froggy has made his last leap. Hell no, you can't go to the bathroom. You know where you can go. The fuck to sleep. The owls fly forth from the treetops. Through the air they soar and they sweep. A hot crimson rage fills my heart, love. For real, shut the fuck up and sleep. The cubs and the lions are snoring, wrapped in a big snuggling heap. How come you can't do all this other great shit, but you can't lie the fuck down and sleep? The seeds slumber beneath the earth now, and the crops that the farmers will reap. No more questions. This interview is over. I've got 2 words for you, kid. Fucking sleep. The tiger reclines in the shimmering jungle. The sparrow has silenced her cheep. Fuck your stuffed bear. I'm not getting you shit. Close your eyes. Cut the crap. Fucking sleep. The flowers doze low in the meadows and high on the mountains so steep. My life is a failure. I'm a shitty-ass parent. Stop fucking with me, please, and sleep. The giant pangolins of Madagascar are snoozing as I lie here and openly weep. Sure, fine, whatever. I'll bring you some milk. Who the fuck cares at this point? 'Cause please let me know you're not gonna sleep. This room is all I can remember. The furniture crappy and cheap. You win, you escape. You're down the hall as I nod the fuck off and sleep. Bleary and dazed I awaken to find your eyes shut, so I keep my fingers crossed tight as I tiptoe away and pray that you're fucking asleep. We're finally watching our movie. Popcorn's in the microwave. Beep! Oh shit! God damn it! You've got to be kidding! Come on! Go the fuck back to sleep! The end. Lord Ninja, it was great to do this book for you. I loved doing this reading. We should do more of these. This was a #1 New York Times bestseller. The name of it is Go the Fuck to Sleep by Adam Mansbach.
So although I had to wake them up after they were just told, go the fuck to sleep. I mean, they're just like kids, just like we are. We're naughty, we're nice, and we never listen to our parents. But the one thing that we definitely do is give back We raise money and we make a difference. So I want to take this moment to thank you all for joining us for these incredible, funny, definitely naughty bedtime stories while raising money for our 3 really fabulous charities: AIDS Foundation of Chicago, Project Fierce, and the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. We hope that you guys did your part, you donated, and if you haven't, please click on that donate button, go through PayPal, go through Venmo, whatever it is that you want to do in order to give that money back to these charities, because we're going to do our part as the Imperial Court and make a difference. We love you all. Thank you to my incredible co-host, Ruby Starling. It was so much fun to do this with you. I wish we were together. I know the girls definitely wish they were with their aunt right now. But you guys, we've had such a fun time and we love you all. Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Wow, what an evening. I don't know about you, but after all those amazing bedtime stories, I am ready for sleep. I want to thank all of our amazing friends who joined us from near and far to help us raise money. Scott Turner, Genuine Boutte, Eros Delight, Truly Scrumptious, Laura Leakis, Davida DeVille Dumais, Miss Drew, Anna Long, Benita Bloom, Uma Jules, Trace Couture Kennedy Smith, Spar Kelly, Harleen Stewart Sweets, and Jeff Wainscott Archer DeVille Snap Clemens. I would like to give special thanks to our fabulous MCs, Ruby Starling and Diamante, with special guest appearance by Percy the Dog. I want to thank Julie Bouza, my staging assistant and videographer. I want to thank the membership of the Windy City Empire for their support, encouragement, and patience as I venture out into modern age programming. I would also like to thank Earl Kane, who, though unable to be part of the show directly, has been an incredible mentor and supporter and has encouraged me every step of the way. I am so proud to be his ICP. Lastly, I would like to thank all of you who joined us tonight or will join us throughout the week as we raise money for our 3 very important charities: AIDS Foundation Chicago, Project Fierce, and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Every dollar we raise goes to help fund research, vaccines, and shelters, as well as providing general support for so many members of our community. Thank you again for joining us. I hope you all had as much fun watching as we did in the making of the show. These are all truly stories we won't soon forget.